The federal government is proposing to spend 396 billion naira on COVID-19 vaccination in 2021 and 2022. And reactions trail President Buhari's trip to London, especially the issues of national relevance which prevails around this time. Hello everyone and welcome to Politics Today live on Channels Television. I'm Sean Kimberly at Channels Television's global headquarters in Lagos, Nigeria. It's a midweek edition of the program and so we'll be here with you for the next hour. So let's tell you quickly that top officials of government are currently meeting at the Vice President's office in the State House in Abuja. The meeting is a tripartite committee comprising of executive, legislature, and APC members. Recall that President Buhari had appointed the Vice President Oshibajo as the chairman of the tripartite consultative committee, which is saddled with the responsibility of enhancing communication and relationship between the executive, legislature, and the ruling All Progressives Congress, APC, with a view to ensuring smoother and effective service delivery to deserving people of Nigeria. Well, we understand that some of those who are at that meeting, chaired by the Vice President, include the Senate President Ahmed Lawan and the Deputy Senate President Ovie Omoagege, the Attorney General of the Federation Abubakar Malami, the Chief of Staff to the President Professor Gambari. Before we delve into tonight's conversation around national issues, the president trip, and what this means for Nigeria, the reaction of the opposition, there are some other stories that we have for you on our political roundup.
The Minister of Works and Housing, Mr. Babatunde Fashola, is again reiterating the commitment of the federal government in providing quality road infrastructure across the nation. Speaking during an inspection visit to the sections 1 and 2 of the ongoing dualization expansion of Abuja-Kefi-Akwanga road construction project, Mr. Fashola says the quality of road construction across the nation cannot be compromised, as the ministry has the manpower and technical know-how to build good roads of international standard.
It would be built to the quality of any road in any other part of the world. It would be a place where you would love to commute, you would love to drive. Well, I think that ultimately the purpose was to make life better for those who use that axis, to reduce the travel time, to reduce the congestion around there.
A former Speaker of the House of Representatives, Dimeji Bankole, has formalized his membership of the All Progressives Congress as he registers at his Ward 10 Ikporo Shodeke in Abeokuta South local government area of Ogun State. The former Speaker, who was governorship candidate of the Action Democratic Party, ADP, in the 2019 election, joined the ruling party at a meeting with National Caretaker Chairman of the APC, Mai Mala Buni, in Abuja. Mr. Buni last week Monday presented Mr. Bankole alongside another defector and a former governor of Ogun State, Otumba Gbenga Daniel, to President Muhammadu Buhari at the State House. The People's Democratic Party, PDP, Ebonyi State Chapter, has made it clear that it will reclaim power come 2023. This was the outcome of its meeting held in Abakaliki, the state capital, attended by party stalwarts. They include former governor of the state, Sam Egwu, former president of Senate and secretary to the government of the Federation, Ayem Pius Ayem, Ali Odefa, deputy national vice chairman, some PDP senators and House of Representatives members, amongst others.
Let's also tell you that the weekly Federal Executive Council meeting held today at the State House with the Vice President Professor Yemi Oshibajo chairing in the absence of President Muhammadu Buhari, who is away in London for a medical checkup. The federal government is now proposing to spend 396 billion naira for the COVID-19 vaccination in 2021 and 2022. The Minister of Finance, Mrs. Zainab Ahmed, explains that the figure may significantly reduce as the federal government receives more donations of the vaccines from the private sector. Take a listen to our briefing after the FEC meeting.
Sometime in January, the President has, based on a request by the Ministry of Health, given an in-principle approval for the Ministry of Health to work with the Ministry of Finance, Budget and National Planning to prepare and take to the National Assembly a supplementary budget for COVID-19 vaccination. The submission that was made to Mr. President at that time was in the sum of 399 billion. But included in this 399 billion was a 103 billion for building of primary health care centers. So we've worked with and met several times with the ministry. We've agreed that we'll back out this building of primary health care centers that can wait till later. So there's still a provision of 396 billion for COVID-19 vaccinations for 2021 and 2022. So the ministry is working with partners that are donating these vaccinations. So we see the timelines of the donations and see the gap that the government needs to fill in 2021. But we have already provided to the ministry funds to enable them roll out the vaccines that have already, the 4 million that have been brought already into the country.
So before I get to introduce my guest tonight, there is one story that you need to hear, and it's about a human rights report on Nigeria coming from the United States government. So the United States has once again released its annual human rights report on Nigeria, and its focus is looks like a pat on the back for the country's efforts at keeping to the rules of engagement on human rights. Some of the areas the report focused on include respect for the integrity of the person, respect for civil liberties, freedom to participate in the political process, corruption and lack of transparency in government. On the NSAS process of last year, the United States government said there is no proof indicting the Nigerian army of any killings during the protests in Lekki Toll Gate in Lagos on October 20 last year. The statement reads in part, and I quote, "Accurate information of fatalities resulting from the shooting was not available at year's end. Amnesty International reported 10 persons died during the event, but the government disputed Amnesty's report and no other organization was able to verify the claim. The government reported 2 deaths connected to the event. One body from the toll gate showed signs of blunt force trauma. A second body from another location in Lagos State had bullet wounds. The government acknowledged that soldiers armed with live ammunition were present at the Lekki toll gate. At year's end, the Lagos State Judicial Panel of Inquiry and Restitution continued to hear testimony and investigate the shooting at Lekki toll gate." End of quote. Other allegations leveled against the federal government or its agents are arbitrary, according to the report, and unlawful or extrajudicial killings, repressing freedom of expression, corruption and lack of transparency, and infringement on workers' rights. But the objective of the report, according to the United States, is to serve as a watchdog set out to monitor countries perceived to break human rights laws. I guess that will generate some kind of conversation around the country. Well, as President Buhari departed Abuja for London yesterday, so many reactions trailed his trip. The situation of things in the country and how the APC government is handling the affairs of Nigeria. The main opposition party, the People's Democratic Party, PDP, has criticized President Buhari over his frequent medical trips abroad, accusing him of destroying his legacies in the health sector. The party, in a statement by spokesperson Kola Olugbodiyan, says President Buhari's routine medical checkup abroad is a direct indictment on his administration's failure to fix Nigeria's healthcare system. In that statement, quote, "The PDP is disturbed that while Mr. President jets out for medical treatment in well-equipped hospitals abroad, our hospitals and medical personnel are in very sorry situation while millions of our compatriots suffer, with many dying on a daily basis from conditions that have simple medical solutions. End of quote. The PDP adds that the highly rated State House Clinic has become so bad that the president cannot go there for his medical checkup. Other issues like national security has been grabbing the headlines, as you see on in the dailies every day, and has become a matter of national discourse, considering the trend of events where kidnappings and attacks are now rife. Tonight, we have the minority leader of the Senate, Senator Eyinaya Abaribe. It was a man who also proposed an amendment to the Armed Forces Act, a move on the floor of the Senate which stirred controversies. It was a bill that seeks to create an Armed Forces Commission, stirred some of the lawmakers there to talking and debating over the matter. Well, Senator Abaribe joins us from our Abuja studio tonight. Thank you so much, Senator, for coming on the show tonight. And perhaps let me begin the conversation by asking you, your party PDP came out against President Buhari's trip yesterday. Although Mr. Garba Shehu on the program yesterday said that the president is not a medical tourist this time. Well, the question is, Senator, has the president done anything wrong in the eye of the law?
I don't think he has done anything wrong in the eyes of the law. He has a right to seek, take care of himself medically. I think morally is where he has done everything wrong. This was a president that told us he will never go on any medical checkup or trip abroad, and actually condemned the huge amount of money spent on medical movements outside before he was elected in 2015. And shortly after, he lived more abroad than in Nigeria. And so, when the COVID business started, we were assured that medical facilities in Nigeria will be upgraded and that there will be no need for so much of our money being spent abroad. We were just surprised that nothing has changed. He's still dependent on foreign facilities than in Nigeria. And just like you said in your report, everybody will have expected that the State House Clinic would have the minimum to be able to do medical checks for him. If he now needs treatment, he could go there. But, well, what can we do? We're just seeing an APC government that says one thing and does another.
The spokesperson of the president said yesterday that the president is not a medical tourist. And the reason why he's going there is because he needed to sustain and maintain those who have been attending to his health, the doctors that have been attending to his health. And he's mentioned a few hospitals there, in Abuja that said they're coming up to par at a standard that can take care of the situation. He said the president and the government has approved and looking into upgrading the situation of things. How do you react to the president's comment that he's not a medical tourist? He just wanted to sustain the patronage to his doctors of over 30 years.
Sometimes, these presidential spokesmen, they make you laugh, What is a medical tourist? You leave your country to go to get medical attention elsewhere. Who? And that's not your country. So what are you? You're nothing but a medical tourist. So I don't think we should just continue with this banter. I think really it's a crying shame that we have lost so much to the extent that just to do a medical checkup, you have to go all the way to London? Well, that's, like I said before, we just see people who say something and do the exact opposite. People come from outside this country to come and give medical treatment here. I mean, people have been doing kidney transplants, all manners of things, yeah. Which means that we already have facilities in certain local hospitals here that could take all those type of, I would say, medical procedures. And there are too many very, very great Nigerian doctors here who could also do that. But it seems to me that the Commander-in-Chief is fixated on always running to another country, and there's nothing much any of us can do about it, if that's his inclination.
Part of the conversation yesterday was what the president said before he left, the order that he gave the security chiefs, and also the president's spokesperson told us that the federal government will soon make public the names of those funding Boko Haram and banditry in the country. Does that give you any kind of cheer, Senator?
It doesn't show. It doesn't, because this is about the umpteenth time that we are hearing the president giving marching orders. I mean, throughout the Buratai time as army staff and every other person, he was always giving marching orders. So he's giving just another one. And I mean, why would we take him serious? Just the day after he had said we would no longer accept all these kidnappings and all that, this will be the last kidnapping, they kidnapped the next day. And what happened? And those people are still there. Those innocent Nigerians are still in captivity up till now. And you want us to do what? That he just made a statement? That's normal by him. He always makes a statement every time these things happen. Nothing happens. So it's obvious that nobody takes him serious with that. Even the military chiefs, I don't think they bother themselves.
But when they say that those who are funding these bandits and those who are funding Boko Haram, I mean, we understand that there is a linkage now with all of those, the perpetrators of all of these heinous crimes, and that their names will soon be published. What do you have to say to that?
First of all, Sean, what I need to say is that there is some dissimulation by government. Dissimulation in the sense that rather than call somebody a terrorist, you call him a bandit. So you sweeten the word, make it look like it's something that is less, that is more palatable to hear. I mean, these are people who are destroying the country, who are killing, maiming, doing all manners of things, and driving people away from their natural habitats. What do you call them? Then you say, oh, they are called bandits. Okay, and then the next one will now be, we are going to publish. I mean, where in the world do you fight crime? By publishing names of people. Where? What you do is that when you have had intelligence and you do your investigation, what next you do is to arrest and prosecute. You don't tell me that, oh, by next week we're going to publish names of people. Who do they think that they're talking with? They're not talking to, are they talking to intelligent people, or do they think that we're all fools in Nigeria? We're not. So we have seen through all this, and Shenwu, don't let me lose my temper, because you see, sometimes you just wonder, what is it that we do? as a government, how would a government tell you, oh, we're going to publish the names of sponsors? The sponsor of a criminal is also a criminal. So why are you publishing? What you do is to arrest, investigate, and prosecute. That is what you do as a government. You don't tell us this type of, let me not use certain words here. Sure.
All right, let's take a breather, Senator. But when we come back, I would like to take you up on the bill that you presented that caused your colleagues to go into an executive session. It must have been something that was very controversial. We want to hear from you, and perhaps if you have changed your mind in going forward on that bill. We'll take a break, everyone, and when we come back, more on the state of the nation. The side of the minority in the Senate, Senator Yinaya Abaribe, is here tonight with us. Don't go anywhere, everyone. We'll be right back. Thank you so much, everyone, for staying with us. Senator Yinaya Abaribe is the Senate Minority Leader and the Senate. He's our guest tonight on the program, and he's in our Abuja studio. Thank you so much, Senator. Let me begin this time around with the bill you presented, the bill for the establishment of the Armed Forces Commission 2021. It caused a stir on the floor of the Senate when you stood up to present that bill, and you're expected to represent the bill. Are you considering altering it in some way? I mean, the original context of that bill, which may have upset some of your colleagues.
Well, I'm not considering altering it. Maybe we'll just tweak it a little. But I think that people need to understand what that bill is all about. It's a bill that is incumbent upon us as the National Assembly to pass because it's embedded in the Constitution, Section 219 of the Constitution. And it's a very simple and straightforward bill. What happened that day was that we have, among some of my colleagues, a default position. Every little thing that you say, they say, oh, it's against President Buhari, and therefore, oh, okay, let us say no. But without looking at the content that you have brought out. And all they thought was that, oh, that we wanted to whittle down the powers of President Buhari, and that's not what the bill was all about. All that the bill was about is let us do what is in the Constitution. So I'm going to take just some time because I brought the Constitution with me. And the Constitution, that bill talks about three specific sections, 217, 218, and 219. But so that I will not just, I will take 2173. 2173 says, 2171 says, there shall be an armed forces of the Federation, blah, blah, blah. And such other branches as may be established by an act of the National Assembly. But 3 says, the composition of the officer corps and other ranks of the armed forces of the Federation shall reflect federal character. And of course, you know, and every lawyer can tell you that when the Constitution mentioned shall, it means that it must be done. It must be enforced. Now, Section 218 is the powers of the President and Commander-in-Chief to determine the operational use of the armed forces. Now, and he goes ahead to state all the things that the powers conferred on him, he can appoint this and appoint that. But Section 219, on which we based that bill, says that in giving effect to the functions specified in Section 217 of this Constitution and with respect to the powers exercisable by the President under Section 218, so this ties up 217 and 218 by an act that is the National Assembly, establish a body which shall comprise such members as the National Assembly may determine, and which shall have power to ensure that the composition of the armed forces of the Federation shall reflect federal character in the manner prescribed in Section 217. Because Section 217 has said that the officer corps and other ranks should reflect federal character. Now, why was it put in the Constitution? They put it in the Constitution because they knew that there may come a time where somebody will exercise his powers as president in contradistinction to what this country is all about. And that is what we're seeing today.
Senator.
And therefore, we have a remedy in the Constitution.
Senator.
And so we now said, okay, since the Constitution insists that we must set up this body, why don't we go ahead and do it? That's all that bill is all about.
Senator, let me jump in quickly. What is your fear? Do you think that the president is done something wrong in his appointment? Because for those who have said, the issue with Senator Abaribe is that he feared a perceived lopsidedness in the appointment of security chiefs. Is that correct?
Shehu, there is a perceived lopsidedness, and all Nigerians know it. And the lopsidedness is not just in, look, 18 security agencies. A third part of this country, from the southeast, not one single person. Even it got to the ridiculous extent where the next person who was supposed to take over, I think it was civil defense or one of these para agencies, was cast aside, and somebody else from the northern part of the country was also brought in. This Constitution says that you should always follow federal character. And maybe the people who put together this Constitution envisage that we may get to this kind of sorry pass and try to provide for it. And let me also say another thing. For those who continue to say, oh, it's about Buhari, it's not about President Buhari at all. President Buhari has already appointed his security chiefs, so this is not going to affect them. But if we bring that act, and if we make it into an act, and the act is subsisting, any subsequent president will be bound by it. And of course, like I said, there was a knee-jerk reaction, and everybody thought, oh, who knows what he's up to? I know, and all that. So, well, we intend that we are going to represent it. That was the only reason why I stood it down. You know, and in the parliament, if you insist and take a vote, if the vote doesn't go your way, then you won't have the opportunity to bring it back. So, because tempers had been raised, fears had been heightened, and some people within had already started walking around and saying, oh, it's a PDP plot, you know, and all that type of thing. But there were also those in the APC side who saw reason with me to say the Constitution mandates us because the clause there is shall. And so we have to go ahead and do this. You know, and of course, not being an anarchist, I just said, okay, if everybody's tempers are all right, let us all cool down, let us all calm down, let us step it down, then let us do further consultations, and then we will present it again in an atmosphere that will be devoid of rancor.
All right, you mentioned something, and it does look to me, Senator, that you are a very strong voice from the southeastern region of the country. And this is a bit of politics now. On but there was a meeting over the last few days about the future of this country and the leadership of this country. It does look like, from what you've just said in talking about this bill, you there's a perceived injustice or there's a perceived unfairness that you have spoken of tacitly in your speech tonight. Do you feel that your region is unfairly treated in the polity?
So in my language, usually when you pose this type of question, we'll ask you, I mean, you should count your teeth with your tongue. That will, you know, you're here, you get everything. How can the Southeast be so pushed down and marginalized in this manner? And everybody knows it. And it's not like it's something that is not known. I think the real issue, Sean, is the insensitivity of this government to what people talk about. I'll give you just a very simple example. Sean, yesterday, somebody sent me some information when we were considering the Federal Character Commission chairman. We took into cognizance during the consideration that there was somebody from the North who was the secretary. And now they are bringing somebody from the North to be the chairman. And we said, no. And everybody thought, I said, this is Federal Character Commission that is supposed to look into what other agencies and ministries of government are doing. And you're already introducing sectionalism into it. And at that time, some people got up, I think specifically the Deputy Senate President and a few others, and said, please, the man who's there has just 6 months to go. And yesterday, somebody now called me and said, oh, do you know that these people have gone ahead to extend the tenure of the person that they told us had just 6 months to go so that a Southerner will come in? So how can people be this insensitive?
So, Senator,
how do you want unity
so when
to be
people
in this country? That's what I'm saying.
So when you talk about 2023 presidency, your party, the PDP, has thrown it. I mean, there's this debate whether or not they should throw it open. They've not made the decision. Are you talking to your party? Because if you feel unfairly treated in your region, is it fair for the presidency to go to the Southeast in 2023?
Of course, we're talking to our party, but every party has its own rules, its own regulations, and every party wants to win an election. And so I get amused when people want a party that is going to go into an election in 2023, 2 years away, to start from today and say, oh, we're going to go here or go there. No, no party can do that. Even the APC itself, they have been hedging and talking up and down. So we will, when the time comes, take that decision as a party. But prior to that time, we are also engaging with our party and telling them these are the facts.
All right.
And look at the facts, and on the basis of the facts, let us make a decision.
On the final note, Senator, perhaps just a short and quick one. And what we've been looking at the solution to the security situation in the country. But on your part as lawmakers, one will think you and your colleagues will take as a matter of urgency when you ask a president to declare a state of emergency on security. But a lot of people have passed it on to the National Assembly that the bulk stopped on your table. You need to make part of the laws of this country to ensure that we fix some of the structural problems. Why has it not become a matter of urgency for you and your colleagues to move on the relevant part of the laws of this country that needs to be fixed to fix our insecurity situation?
I think those who want to pass it to the National Assembly are being very, very unfair. Look, the buck stops on the table of the president. You can't push it away from there and say it's National Assembly. It is the president that makes the decisions about how to execute whatever laws we have. And I'm telling you, we don't even have to do this law. The president reads the Constitution, or he has people who read it for him and say, this is what the law says. It's up to him to do the needful. And the president doesn't do the needful, and rather than put it on his desk, then we're always running around and trying to find excuses. We don't find excuses for him. As the minority position, our position is simple. Let the president do his job. If he is incapable of doing the job, then he knows what to do. That's all. And when we said it in 2017, nobody believed us. Now the chicken has come home to roost, and we're having a country that is falling apart at the seams. So, I don't know what else we can do. But pushing it to the National Assembly, I'm sorry, that is not correct. That is not our job. Our job is not to do the job of the president. He should do his job.
All right. Senator,
and his job is to secure us.
Senator Enyinaya Abaribe, Senate Minority Leader, thank you so much for coming on the program this evening.
My pleasure.
Thank you so much. Let's take a look at what the NSA said yesterday. Of course, I will get the conversation going forward with my next guest on the program. But I'd like you to listen again to what the NSA said as regarding what the president has ordered and the way forward for national security. Take a listen to the NSA again.
The president has made it very, very clear to both the intelligence and operational elements that their first assignment will be to identify the leaders of these bandits and kidnappers and take them out in order to restore confidence in those areas. Mr. President has said that he will no longer tolerate a situation whereby bandits and kidnappers are the ones dictating the pace and setting the tone. And he will not also condone a situation in which our own operations are reactionary rather than being proactive. He has also indicated his willingness to provide all the resources required by our own troops in order to put down these criminals. I'm also to send out a warning to those people who think they can continue to behave in a manner that undermines national security. Those people are engaging in all kinds of underhanded, unscrupulous, mischievous, and deceitful practices. People who are working with those that are in government, in particular critical agencies of government. We have been able to identify certain areas that are weak, and these areas have to be strengthened so that these characters who are engaging in acts that you can describe as, outright acts of, brigandry, people who are behaving in a manner that portends a lot of danger to innocent lives, have to be fished out.
That's General Babangana Mongono, the National Security Advisor. Let's take the conversation forward and let's switch gears now and get the other side of the divide on some of the issues raised by Senator Enyinaya Abaribe. I'm being joined by a member of the APC, the All Progressives Congress Caretaker Committee, and a special advisor to President Buhari on special intervention, Mr. Ismail Ahmed. He joins us from Abuja studio. Thank you so much, Mr. Ahmed, for joining us tonight. I'll allow you to react quickly to some of the things Senator Abaribe said about the capacity of the president and your party to handle the affairs of this nation.
Thank you very much for having me, Sheun. I didn't get most of the things that distinguished Senator Buharis said, so I don't know if I'm equipped to respond to some of them. But the last parts of the things that I got that he mentioned was the issue of saying that I think he was talking about the Armed Forces Reform Bill, which I'm not a lawmaker. I'm not a military personnel. I don't know what he intends to do. I don't know what his motive is for sponsoring the bill. I don't know how it went about. I'm just hearing it for the first time today on television. But for the capacity of the president, I think it's not in doubt that the president is absolutely capable, and he has been running this country. We have challenges, just like every other government and every other country in the world. We have challenges, especially security challenges, on a daily basis. You know, it's a 200 million strong country with a huge landmass, and we have porous borders. We have a lot of security challenges, and the president has been on top of his game, trying to get involved, especially with his new service chiefs, and giving out all the orders that needs to be given, providing all the funding that needs to be provided for the military officers and other security personnel, giving them latitude and wherewithal to do all they can within their professional capacity and within the ambit of the law to bring the insecurity to an end. Is he satisfied completely? Of course not. No president would be, no citizen would be. But is he also satisfied that his officers are doing all they can to bring this to an end? Absolutely. You know, it's a case of one issue dying down, another springing up. We are no longer talking about Boko Haram the way we were in the last 4, 5, 6 years. You know, that is not to say that Boko Haram has been completely eliminated, but they are not as dangerous, and the attacks are not as frequent as they were, you know, some years back. And now a new vista of insecurity has sprung up. Well, some would say it's not totally new, the one of the banditry around the northwest. You know, some would say it's not totally new. The propensity has just increased. The people that used to use machetes and sticks to rob people on rural roads now use AK-47s because of the importation of light and small weapons and all these AK-47s that I'm sure the customs, immigration, DSS, military officers and the police are doing all they can to make sure that we put a stop to that as much as possible. It's not going, there's no silver bullet, there's no magic wand to bring this to an end all of a sudden, but I'm sure the security chiefs and the security personnel and boots on the ground are doing all they can to bring this to an end. So it is, I wonder why somebody of high-ranking stature like Senator Buharis would even contemplate saying that the president is not capable. I don't understand what he is not capable of. And for a minority leader of a political party that simply has allowed some of these problems to go unabated before, have siphoned a lot of the funding that is supposed to go to the military before, that have been opaque in their dealings, and that you know, some of them stand as sureties for people that are criminals, and when those sureties refuse to turn up, those people are not even in jail. You know, to come today and say the things they are saying, that the president is not capable of doing what? I simply don't understand that.
Let me ask you, I mean, I know you're one of those who spoke loudly for your party at the campaigns in 2015 and in 2019. Is this the Nigeria that you campaigned and promised Nigerians to vote for?
In some respect, yes. In some respect, we are not where we want to be, but we are certainly not where we used to be. In terms of deliverables, in terms of infrastructural development, no matter how much of a cynic you are, you would have to admit that there has been incredible improvement in terms of infrastructural development and the pace at which it is going. The ministers of transport, the ministers of works and housing, the CBN and other intervention agencies and other agencies of government that are intervening. For the first time, people are getting money directly to their accounts. We are spawning on our programs that directly affect people's lives and in their pockets. But to say that there will ever be a time when the country will be utopian in the way that it doesn't need government because all problems are solved, there probably will never be that time. As long as there is a human being and there is a human organization, there will always be fallibility, there will always be failings, there will always be room for improvement. And yes, I can tell you right now that I'm satisfied with absolutely everything, but I'm satisfied with the effort that my government is doing and my party is doing to make sure we put these things in good place. But we're not there yet, but we'll keep working on it, God willing.
Perhaps one of the things that Senator Abaribe raised, he said there is a perceived lopsidedness in President Buhari's appointments. He feels that his region, the Southeast, is being marginalized under this government. How do you react to that?
I don't like to talk about marginalization as much. I don't think there's the president has prerogative. I have seen a lot of data of how in the past, you know, in the Jonathan administration, for example, you list a lot of positions as well that have been headed by people from especially the Southeast, you know, and the South-South. But that does not mean that if there is something wrong with the things we're doing that we shouldn't be called out for. I think that our appointments can be more balanced. I think the president doesn't sit down and say that, okay, I need to bring in Sheun because he's from the Southwest. I think the president just focuses on the meritocracy of every appointment that is being given to him as recommended by the people whose responsibility it is for them to recommend for him. And then he makes those appointments based on that professional advice. But I agree with you. To an extent, we are in a democracy. There needs to be a political eye that looks at some of these appointments and make sure that there is balance, you know, for the sake of optics and perception. But the president doesn't do it a lopsided appointment just because he wants to do it for the sake of doing it.
Let's look at it. Since you're a member of the caretaker committee, that's the highest leadership of your party at the moment. Let's look at some of the internal workings of your party. There appears to be some delay in conducting a national convention. What seems to be the problem?
What is the delay?
I'm asking. You're supposed to have a national convention in December. Explain to us what seems to be causing the delay.
There is no delay in particular. We have been given, in December, we took the report of what we have been doing to the neck of the party, and the neck in its own wisdom extended the lifespan of the caretaker to June 30th of this year. And so far, we have been implementing the plans that we have set out to do diligently. When we came in June of last year, it was a bit of a turmoil, and we had the COVID restrictions and protocols that were fully in place at that time and that we couldn't gather. And there was no way we could do anything. We could build something or nothing. We needed to do registration and revalidation again. That took a while. That took us way to around October and November when the NSAS started, and then it catapulted, and then I think the restrictions were relaxed sometime in in January or February of this year. And that was why the NEC, in its own wisdom in December, gave us an extension of another 6 months, which we are implementing the plan. We are doing the registration as we speak. The registration is ending soon. Once the registration ends, we do the necessary cleanup, and then we move into ward congresses, local government congresses, and state congresses. Local government congress, if you know how party works, is probably the most difficult one, because that's the one where you need all the party members, card-carrying members, to go back to their wards and do and conduct congresses. Once that is done and you have elected officials at the ward level, the rest is a dominoes effect. It can be done within a very short period of time. So we are still right on time. We're still right on timetable. There is no delay whatsoever.
So quickly, because we're out of time, considering the promises your party made to Nigerians before the polls, how would you rate your popularity? I mean, the popularity of the APC dwindling or growing? And we are hearing now of a political force coming in play and saying that neither the APC or PDP is giving Nigerians what they want. Is your party afraid that it might be voted out in 2023?
I'll tell you this, that my party is not afraid that we'll get voted out. We are all politicians. We understand the game. We took a government out. We understand we don't take Nigerians' supports and endorsements and for granted. We don't. We understand that power is transient. The way we took it, it could be taken away from us. The possibility is always there. We are also very aware that we have a very incredibly popular president that always comes to the table with about 10 million, 12 million votes. He will not be on the ballot in the next election. We have to shore up our base. We have to reach out to younger people. There will be an estimated 5 to 6 million new voters by 2023. That probably never voted before. These are the people that we have to reach out to. We have to reach out to people who ordinarily would not engage in the public space, in the political space, sorry. It's going to be a competition. We're not afraid. We don't think we're going to lose the election. We don't think PDP are in a better position than we are. But every government in the world, once it comes in, especially on high note of expectations, and is met with the situation that we met in 2015 in terms of dwindling oil prices and challenges of all sorts that we needed to prioritize and focus. Of course, there will be dip and flights on your popularity and approval polls. But
Mr. Ahmed,
that we are a party in government, and to a large extent, a lot of Nigerians have experienced a lot of things that they have never experienced in any other government prior to this government, especially in terms of COVID-19 relief and social intervention programs, and monumental infrastructural development projects that is ongoing, that is there for everyone
Mr. Ahmed,
to see. But we need to translate that into political communication and adumbrate it and not be afraid and talk to people that this is what we are doing. We should not be...
We are obviously out of time, Mr. Ahmed.
He seems to think that we're not doing well.
All right, I need to put this right and straight. You said something in your speech, and quickly, we're out of time now, about Senator Abaribe and the issue of siphoning money. Do you have any evidence to that? If you do not, that could be libelous. You're a lawyer, and you know the implication of what you have said.
I didn't say Senator Abaribe siphoned money. I said the government of the past, a lot of them siphoned money. They were in court at some point. Where are they not? I didn't say Senator Abaribe in person. Don't get me wrong. I said the PDP government, and a lot of people have been going to court and being taken to court by EFCC as a result of a lot of monies that were supposed to go to security agencies that didn't. You can take me to court on that. I'll prove it.
Mr. Ismail Ahmed.
I said his party.
Thank you so much, Mr. Ismail Ahmed, for coming tonight. A member of the APC Caretaker Committee and special advisor to the President on special intervention. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. Well, that's our show for today, everyone. Many thanks for watching. I'm Sean Kimale. Bye-bye.